Every year, thousands of human remains are found in the United States, and in one of every 4 instances, authorities can't identify the body. That's starting to change. I'm Dave Killen, co-host of The Unidentifieds, a new limited series podcast from The Oregonian and Oregon Live. We go deep into several cold cases and explain the science that's helping experts give these long-forgotten people their names back. Look for The Unidentifieds after you've finished listening to this podcast. Subscribe to The Unidentifieds on Apple, Spotify, Google, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
NIL Now with Lauren Sisler and Kevin Jones.
If you want to learn more about name, image, and likeness, you need to go to The Source. The NIL Now podcast from Headline Studio and Reddit highlights the biggest storylines with comments from key guests in the college and high school NIL space.
NIL is not a cherry on top. It needs to be thought about as a part of these young men and women's future to, further their careers. You should be able to leave college with something.
Subscribe to NIL Now on Apple, Spotify, Google, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
We are just days away from the NBA lottery. Welcome to the Blazer Focus podcast. I'm Aaron Fentress of the Oregonian, and I'm joined by Craig Burnback again this week. Earlier this week, Craig said he did not have lottery fever. 1, because his Knicks were still balling, and 2, because he's had bad experiences with the lottery. But now we're even closer. Your Knicks are still hanging on by a thread. They could be eliminated tonight, I believe. Maybe. We'll see.
Oh,
no. What? They're down 3-2 to Miami. They're going back home, though, right?
I know, but they could force the game to 7.
You're right.
Come on,
I said could. Could just means a possibility. Anyway, any closer to lottery fever, especially with Brandon Roy jumping in. He's going to represent the Blazers in Chicago. What do you think? Come on. Little fever, a little bit?
Yeah, again,
Boo.
No.
Boo.
It doesn't. Look, 10% chance. It's a 10% chance. He's falling apart.
I know, I dropped my phone.
He dropped his phone. 10% chance that they get the number 1 pick. Nothing other than the number 1 pick means much to me. For the Blazers, I think that would, if they get it, I would be excited. But again, I've been super kicked in the hello with the lottery in my life, with the Knicks never winning a championship and the Blazers getting Greg Oden. It just hasn't worked out for me. So
I was hoping,
but I will be excited, once we know what the pick is. No matter what, that gets me excited. Because if it's 1, obviously it changes everything. If it's 2 through 7 or, then what are they going to do? That'll excite me.
All right, fair enough. Now, the lottery is Tuesday, as I said, and news came out earlier this week that Brandon Roy is going to represent the Blazers at the draft, which is a pick that actually Brenna Green and I on the Sports by Northwest podcast were throwing out Brooke should be the person, the queen of Rip City. Send her. But Roy was on our list. There's been this little separation between Roy and the franchise for, whatever silly reasons there were. But having him back in the fold, sort of representing the franchise, that's kind of cool, right?
Yes, it's very cool. And, there's nobody left for him to have a beef with.
Or to have a beef with him.
You know what I'm saying? The beef's got to be over because whoever he was mad at, whether it was O'Shea, I doubt it was Stotts, whether it was, Chris McGowan, communications people, it doesn't matter. They're all gone. So I'm glad it's over. I will say that obviously the last time B. Roy did this, the Blazers got the number 1 pick.
And they had a 5% chance that day.
So, but it turned out awful. So I'm not like, oh, this is great. If we repeat history, they're like, oh, if he can repeat history. I'm like, that will stink. That would really stink. That means Scooter Henderson's going to be amazing.
But back then, although most people had Oden as a top pick, there was some debate. It was almost like the Peyton Manning, Ryan Leaf thing, where it was obvious it was Peyton Manning, but there became a little bit of a debate because Ryan Leaf's arm was so incredible. And the Oden thing and the Durant thing flipped because the number one guy ended up being the guy who didn't work out. In this case, there's an obvious number one. It's not even a debate. So there's a difference there.
Right. Yes, but it could
stop.
It is very much this in the sense, or the Michael Jordan. You want to go back to that one? Fine, let's do that. Sam Bowie or Michael Jordan? Not good, right? It seemed.
But Olajuwon was the consensus number one, and that worked out.
Of course. So there's no debate there. And you know what? That would have worked out pretty darn well. Trust me, as a Knicks fan, I'm well aware that somebody won 2 championships that played center, that was drafted number 1 overall.
Why did Stark keep jacking up all those shots while OJ was being chased? It was crazy. Wasn't that at the same time? Was it Game 7? No, it wasn't Game 7. Was it
Game 6? That was Game 6.
Sorry.
Game
7 was, yeah.
I will say, I watched Game 6 at my house because my friends all wanted to go out to the Jersey Shore. And I was like, no, because you're going to go to a bar/club and I won't be able to hear the game. They're like, oh, no, we'll go somewhere. And I'm like, no. So all my friends, they all went out to the bar. And I was sitting at my house watching the Knicks game when OJ did his stupid thing. And they're, of course, calling me from a payphone because, yes, Fetchers and I are old, going, what's going on with the game? Because, of course, I turned on the radio to listen to the radio. And I'm like, no, I told you guys not to go to the bar. And now.
Look at you.
And anyway, and yes, John Starks makes one shot. We win it.
Dude, he was casting bricks. Clank, clank, clank. Didn't even go to Patrick.
Yeah.
Clank, clank.
It's a Blazers podcast.
You're right.
It's a Blazers podcast.
We digressed off a cliff on that one. But anyway.
I'm just saying, I'm glad B. Roy's doing it. Obviously, we both covered Brandon Roy. It was just a great 4 years basically, and a little bit of a 5th year. It stinks that he only had the time that he had. He and I got here. He got here a year before me because I got here in 2007, and it was just a pleasure to watch him kind of bring the Blazers back, not single-handedly, but a lot on Brandon Roy's shoulders to get the city excited for basketball. And
he brought the class back.
He
brought some class back.
Oh, right? Absolutely. And excitement and fun. Even when they weren't winning a lot of games, he gave them something to be excited about. And it's weird because his game now, just a few years later, doesn't exist. Like, it's gone. It's like him and Jimmy
DeRozan and Shea.
Well, Shea a little bit, but DeRozan, come on. That guy played some – I'm just saying his defense is also huge. But, right, we can handpick the players that are similar to him. And that's not what it was like then. Like, just a guy that took his time to get to the hole.
Back then, teams only averaged like 20 23s. I just tweeted about this the other day. I think like 23s per game, and now it's totally like 35 different per team or whatever.
Thank you, Steph Curry. Jeez. And I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm not mad at it. It's ridiculous. The mid-range is boring. I like dunks and threes.
When you run a good play and get a guy open for a mid and he cashes it in, that's dope. That's why I love watching DeRozan play. Okay, that's another time. We can go on and on all day. The threes being overdone. In the playoffs, you see teams come down, just jack up threes. It's just corny to me. Anyway, so let's move on for Roy. Great. He's going to be doing this thing in Chicago. We'll see how that works out on Tuesday. So my question for you today, for us, and there's been a lot of talk about, they're not going to trade the number 1 pick at all. They're going to keep it no matter what. But my question for you is, if they get the number 1 pick, since Dame doesn't want to play with kids, does it almost mean they have to trade Dame and start over? Or is there life with Dame and another kid because he's so talented?
Yeah, and he is a kid, but he's not coming out of high school. Like, he's been playing with men. It's not the NBA, but he, so there might be, that's the thing about that makes this so interesting, because it's not like there aren't, 22-year-olds that are killing it. I know he's only 19, but he is a little bit more advanced than your normal 19-year-old as far as his game is concerned. He's raw, but he's not raw.
He's raw.
He's playing with men now.
Wrong. So you're saying he's
playing
Luka.
professional basketball. I'm not saying he is, but he could be. He could be. I don't know because I am not an expert in the LNB Pro A League. You know what I mean? I don't know. I just know that it's not he's not playing what Shaden, he's not coming up with Shaden Sharp experience.
True.
It's not, where like the guy was playing the best competition he played was AAU, and then he's playing in an NBA game. What he's playing in is better than college basketball. He's been with the French national team, which is a really good national team, right? And they got centers, so it's not like he's never played against a guy his size, Rudy Gobert, So I would not. I think Dame would want to see what it's like, and if he's as good, if he is Luka, right, at 7'3", then they got a chance to win it in the next 2 years, for sure. I mean, who thought Luka this was gonna happen? Like last year, he looked like this year would be a championship type year, and then that didn't work out. But no, I don't think it's a guarantee that Dame gets traded. If I'm Dame, I want to play with this guy. I want to see what this is all about, at least for a little bit. I'm not going to go and demand a trade yet.
So
don't you think?
I agree. I think for the Blazers to truly become a legit title contender, which means they put together a roster where everyone's like, yep, that's a top 2 team in the West, top 4 team in the league. They're going to be formidable. They're going to win 55 plus without injuries, what have you. They need 2 impact guys. And I don't think they're going to land the marquee big fish like Jaylen Brown or Embiid. I just don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to have to get 2 dudes. Maybe they get Draymond and OG, or Draymond and John Collins. I mean, that doesn't match, but those caliber of players, or maybe they get Ayton and John Collins. Again, 2 good guys, not great, but that makes you better. So to me, Wembanyama could be one of those guys, right? So now you just have to go acquire the other one. And you go get the other one with that Knicks pick. You get rid of that Bulls protected pick so you can trade multiple picks, and you have Ant, you have Sharp. And then you can go get that other guy, right? And you just ride with Victor as – now, is Victor a starter? I would say no. I don't think he starts. I think he comes off the bench, though, and probably crushes it for you as a bench guy. But, man, he's a kid. Like, he's a kid and he's a big. And they usually take time to grow and develop. I don't know if he's going to necessarily be ready to contribute to a true contender in his first year, let alone maybe even by his second year. Now, he's shooting 47% from the field right now, which obviously is solid. He's taken 5 threes per game. He's only shooting 29% on threes. So everyone's talks about, oh, my God, you can shoot the 3, you can shoot the 3. He's a career 30% shooter. He's shooting 29%. So I'm not sitting here going to pretend that this guy is the next Durant when he's shooting 29% on threes right now. He needs to get that up to 39% if he's supposed to be that great. So if he comes in next year off of these numbers, I'm saying, okay, he's going to shoot 43%. He's going to shoot 25% on threes. So he's going to average, if he played 32 minutes, based on what he's playing right now, he's going to average like 16 points and 7 rebounds a game. That's a bench guy. He's going to be too young. He's not going to have the basketball intellect. He's not going to have the strength to play 30-plus minutes as a starter, I don't believe. So he's going to be a bench guy giving you 16 and 7 off the bench maybe. And it'll be exciting to have him around. But at the end of the day, I don't think anyone's going to be scared of him. I don't think anyone's going to be like, oh, my God, we got to worry about this cat. Because if he's just marginal from the three-point range, then he's just a tall, skinny kid who can do some nice things. And, no one thought Chet was going to come in and turn a team into a contender. No one thought Porzingis was. These are the other so-called unicorn 7-foot-plus kids we're supposed to be can't miss. We saw how Odin struggled. Then you got injury factor. You can factor in there. But anyway, so I think he could be a piece. But I'm still of the mind that maybe if you truly want to contend, you get number 1, you might have to trade him. And ultimately, you might have to consider trading Dame and just starting over. Because he's not going to be ready.
So I'm going to guarantee that Wemby shoots higher than 43% next year from the field. I'm going to guarantee it.
Okay.
Guarantee
so 44?
I guarantee it. I'm just saying, there's no way he shoots 43%.
Why?
And he'll probably shoot close to 50. Because he's going to dunk. He's going to dunk a lot. He's not going to take the shots that he's taking.
So you're saying he's not?
He's going to be
not
different.
Shoot as many threes. What?
No. And he's not going to shoot as many mid-range. He's going to get a lot of alley-oops because he's going to be playing with a lot better people on offense, no matter what it is. And he's not going to be doing the same things. And I'm also going to. So I'm guaranteeing that. And the other thing I'm going to say is, every scout has a different view of him than you do. So I'm going to go.
But within the first couple years,
they're talking about they're knowing he's like, you're comparing him to Chet Holmgren and Greg Oden, which, by the way, when he did play, he showed flashes of dominance for 8 minutes at a time.
But Greg Oden, in his first 3 years in the league, had he not gotten injured, if you added him to this Blazers team, does not make you a contender. That's what I'm saying. Young kids like that, centers especially,
right. You still need another guy. Yes,
there's issues usually. Like they have to overcome some certain things. There's not very many who are this young. Like Duncan played 4 years in college and joined a team that had won 60 games 2 years before. So Duncan is an exception, but Duncan played 4 years in college. Garnett needed time to grow up. Kobe needed time to grow up. Like these youngsters usually need some time to grow up. Does Dame have that time? And is this guy such a unicorn that he's going to step in? I just don't know I don't think he's LeBron, dude. I just don't. I think he's going to have some issues. And like I said, when I look at this 29% from three, and everyone's been talking about the 3-point shooting, if he comes in and he can't shoot the three, what is he? He's just a really tall, skinny kid.
Well, see, that's what the scouts say differently.
Whatever.
I mean, he's 7'3". He can handle. He can run the floor. His defense is on point. Yep. He's on point.
At 229 pounds. Go ahead.
Right. I mean, so what are you saying?
I'm saying he's getting dunked on. I'm saying Jimmy Butler will see him in the lane and dunk on him. And if he tries to block the shot, he's going to get his wrist broken. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying grown men are going to go right through this dude.
So would you not? So you don't think he's a generational player?
I don't know yet. I think the hype is a bit ridiculous. I think there's a good chance he could be. But what I'm saying is I don't buy right now that he's going to come in and be a guy that helps make you a contender. So then the question is, does Damian say, oh, yeah, this dude's going to help me contend? Or does Damian say, yeah, this dude ain't it. He'll be it in 3 years. Because look at Shaden. Look how talented Shaden is. Like Shaden, you look at Shaden and you're thinking, oh, my God, he's going to be amazing. But guess what? He didn't come close last year to being a guy who could help you contend. I don't think he's going to be that guy this year. If he's starting 2 next year, I think that's an issue. He's still going to be too young. By year 3, I can see him having a major impact on winning. If it takes 3 years for Victor, that's not in Dame's window. Therefore, does it make sense? That's all. And I'm not saying trade him for sure. I'm not saying it can't work. I'm saying there's question marks. And I've been around long enough to have heard all the hype about so many people and it not even come remotely close to being true. So I have reservations.
Odds are he will not be LeBron. Odds are he will not even be Kevin Garnett because that's what our world says.
His floor should be Kevin Garnett the way people are talking about him. That should be his floor.
No, I'm just saying. Right. Odds are to become one of the top 25 players in the NBA history is very difficult, right? So, and they're talking about being a generational player, which is a guy that would guarantee to be a top 25 and maybe a top 10 because LeBron is a top 3. Right. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, so of course. And Michael is top 3 and Wilt is top 3. And now I'm going to give another guy who's Kobe's in top 3, which I'm at 4. So I've already messed it up. But you know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many. Is he going to be this? And unicorns don't always work out. Kevin Durant's a unicorn. He's worked out. But that is very rare. But I think he's way better than what you're saying. But he might not be as good as what everyone's saying ever, and probably not in year 1. I'm just saying John Morant came in the league and was amazing right away. Luka Doncic was amazing right away. Kevin Garnett was amazing right away, and they're all basically the same age. So I don't think he can't be. But odds are you're right, he won't be. But if I'm Dame, I want to check it out for a little bit.
Right.
It's not going to be different. Like if you get the 4th or 5th overall pick and pick a guy and try to sell me on him, I'm not going to, that's a whole different story than this guy who has potential to be a generational player, and especially plays a position that Dame, the best big that Dame's ever played with was LaMarcus Aldridge, who wanted to be a power forward. You know what I'm saying? Like, so he never played. No, LaMarcus, I guess he didn't want to be 7 feet, so he was never listed at 7 feet. I don't know. I never measured him. At my height, it's hard to tell if a guy's 6'11" or 7 feet tall, unless he stands next to another guy that's listed. You don't know what he is. But he's definitely never played with a guy as athletic, with the potential of this height, and he might want to try it out for a little bit. But so I don't think it's my guess is if they get the number 1 overall pick, Dame does not get traded in the summer. I mean, I would, that I feel very strongly about that. And then now you're looking at checking it out for a few months.
So what if they don't add a veteran star? Dame still sits around?
I can't. Oh God, how could they do that though? I mean, how could you do that? How could you get the number 1 overall pick for which is basically free? You know what I mean? You get a generational player, potential, impact all-star, and you pay nothing. How could you then have the assets that the Blazers have and not be able to make a move? I mean, you just said it. They're going to have the Knicks pick. They're going to be able to trade. At that point, you're less worried about trading Sharp, right? Then maybe you do trade, Sharp for something outstanding for Siakam, because you're like, well, I got this. I'm not going to be that worried. You definitely would say trade Simons. If you can't make a trade, then Dame should get that. Well, he should go, because then he's going to be like, dude.
Well, even if you have the 5th pick and you can't make a trade for one dude, like that's still if they can't make a trade this year, they're never gonna. I maintain this is the best position they've been in to pull off a big trade, other than 07 when they had number 1 and Odin was there.
Agreed.
They could have traded Odin for almost anything in the league and gotten it, which is one of my arguments for why, if you offered me the right deal, I would trade this number 1 pick. So I've thrown out my caveats, which I love to do. My comp is going to be Garnett for Victor with a mix of Durant, obviously. And Garnett, 10 points, 6 rebounds as a rookie, but again, coming out of high school, right? Unlike coming out of playing in Europe, playing for France. That's different experience. So let's go to the 17-8, 18-9. If this kid comes in and gives you that and it's extremely efficient,
he's starting.
Where's he starting? If
he's giving you 18.
So Grant goes to 3. Well, yeah, he'd be doing that in starter minutes if that's what you're saying. Yeah, he's not doing it out the bench.
Garnett, he's not getting 18.
Well, Garnett played 39 minutes his second and third year in the league, then 38 and 40, right?
Okay.
So, but anyway, if he's giving you that type of efficiency and potential, let's say the minutes come down, so it's more like 15 and 7. Then he's a bench guy coming off the bench. He's nice. You got a dude, but you're also built for the future as well with having him. So yeah, I think Dame would stay if you got another player to go with it. Yes. But if you don't get another player to go with it, I think Dame looks at that and goes, yeah, he's not helping me win the title in the next 3 years.
Right. And then guess what, Blazers fans, you're doing just fine. Because now you got Sharp, Simon, a 7'3" unicorn. You don't have Grant. Right. But I'm saying Grant's gone. But then you have another first-round draft pick. And you're in 4 years, you're going to be the greatest team.
Because you're going to get another lottery pick the next year, right?
I'm just saying, you'll be all right. You won't have Dame, but you'll be all right. And you might have, a guy that eventually breaks Dame's scoring record because he's coming to the league at 19 at that size. So if you get the number 1 overall pick, you're all right. You feel very good. Don't let Fedras kill your buzz on that.
I've already said, if you get the number 1 overall pick and Dame still wants out because you can't get a vet, even if you just have the 5th pick or the 6th pick, and you can't get another guy and Dame gets traded, Sharp and that pick, whatever it is, and then you're going to get a lottery pick the next year, you're off to a pretty good start for your rebuild. And you got a G League coming in. You might find a couple gems in there in a few years. So, all right. So I guess in conclusion, you are of the mind that if Victor is the pick, Dame Stan, I'm of the mind that they have to bring in another guy, or Dame could consider saying, yeah, I'm not going to win with Victor right now. He doesn't fit my timeline. And so then we got to the Blazers.
I'm saying if they get if they get the number 1 overall pick and they get Wemby, there's no. I just cannot imagine a scenario where they can't get another starter.
Okay, that's fair.
I mean, and if they can't, Dame should go.
Right.
Like if you can't get a borderline all-star that wants to, I mean, to play with you for 4 or 5 years, like a guy that you might be able to force a trade. Like if at that point Jaylen Brown doesn't want to play with you, like you're never, and you have the assets that you have and you can't make it happen. Like Dame should say, you know what, it's never going to work here. I got to go.
Yeah. Man, it's going to be interesting. It is really going to be interesting. And just to be clear, I'm not saying this kid isn't going to be good. He's going to at least be good. I'm not yet convinced that he's going to be just out of this world. I think there's just been too many cautionary tales from the past for me to just buy that hook, line, and sinker right now. But we have 90% chance to not even have to worry about it. So
yeah, there you go.
But man, if they do get that pick, woo, we're gonna have a lot to talk about. All right.
Yeah, we will. It's gonna be fun.
Moving on. The Phoenix Suns are done. Knocked out by
You were so
Denver.
happy, weren't you?
My feelings were that if they stayed healthy, they were the team to beat. They clearly did not stay healthy. And I said that because it was a big if with CP3 and Durant, 37 and 34. And a recent history of injuries, of course. Injuries bit them in the butt. They still might have lost even with CP3. Who knows? Because Durant did not necessarily play well. I think Durant chose poorly. I think, first of all, he should have come to Portland. Winning a title in Portland with Dame would have meant so much more to his legacy than jumping on the bandwagon of the Suns. So my first question for you, had KD come to Portland, would a starting five of Lillard, Matisse, because I'm assuming Ant's probably gone in the trade. Sharp wouldn't be starting even if he was still here. So Lillard, Matisse, KD, Grant, and Nurkic, would that starting five still be playing?
I mean, you mean into the conference finals?
Yeah,
not
make the second round. No, that team have beaten Denver. And we're assuming that Dame's healthy. Now you can say Dame and Booker are equal, and therefore CP3 is a wash in this thing, in this scenario I'm talking about. But would Dame and this group? No, you're like no, they still lose to Denver.
I mean, I'm sorry, Nurkic, Jokic. Denver made the right choice. You know what I mean? Like when they let him walk for nothing, they said, "Oh, you left the arena, keep going." They made the right choice. Jokic. I mean, you forget that there was a little bit like, really? You're going to just leave him? He's really good and young. He's 22.
He was a first-round pick.
I know Jokic is good. No one knew that Jokic was good. Well, they did. They might have, but I didn't. I was like, they're both pretty good, but you're just going to let him go for nothing? Well, yeah, it was smart. They didn't need him. The guy plays 46 minutes a game, runs a point. Like, I had no idea that existed. And I don't see how they stop him because they still can't play defense. Fentress with Durant's a better defender than many that have put on Matisse.
You got Matisse, Durant, and Grant and Nurkic. That's a decent, formidable foursome on defense.
None of them can stop what Jokic does, and they're good. They're really good, and they're super, super strong and physical. And they play such a physical game. Durant's not he's amazing. He's a Hall of Famer, but he's not physical. I think they would get Nurkic out of his game. He'd be in foul trouble all the time. I mean, gosh, they're just really good. I mean, their power forward's a beast. They play defense at multiple positions. Jamal Murray's good, really, really good, hard to guard. Nope, I don't think they get by. Do you? I mean,
no, I think everything you said is fair. I mean, I the CP3 to Lillard thing, obviously Lillard a better choice there, but Booker, they have Booker and Durant. That's the equivalent of Dame and Durant. So then you wonder if Grant, Matisse, and Nurkic a better next three than what the Suns had out there. I think that's highly probable. I think that's a thing, especially since Bridges is gone and Cam Johnson's gone. Right. So I think they would have a chance.
But Denver just beat them by 782 points in Phoenix last night. You know what I mean? Like they crushed them.
I know.
Aaron Gordon. I mean, I thought Aaron Gordon was past his prime, and I was wrong. He wasn't even. He had yet to enter his prime when they got him. I mean, what he does on that team is just amazing. I mean, he dominates the boards. He can pass. He can shoot the three. His defense is, I mean, you know what Denver's done with Gordon Garden, Dame at times. You know, like they're just good, man. And Jokic that's a unicorn.
Yes.
That's a unicorn. Like, what he does is crazy. Like, he's playing, he's like a 33 record, like it's slow, but he gets in there.
I think it
goes
at least 7. I think it's a better series. And
maybe.
Yeah. I mean, Denver, Portland did pretty well against Denver this year when Portland had all their dudes. So anyway, we'll never know. But so now the next question though, if Durant were available, would you want Durant, or is he past his prime? Like, is it not even something that would make any sense for Portland, even if he were available?
No, it would make sense right now because he's on the same time frame as.
But is he still the same guy? He just had
window.
A pretty mediocre series.
He's really good. He was amazing before he got hurt this year again, and then got hurt, and then was amazing, and then got hurt.
He's going to be 35.
Again. So
he misses a ton of games.
No, but I have Dame Lillard. I got a 2-year window. I'm going to roll the dice on him.
Would you trade Ant? Would you trade Ant, Sharp, and stuff for him?
Ant and Sharp? God,
See?
no.
See?
That's hard. Why would you? Yeah,
I would have at the break. At the deadline, I would have.
I would trade. I would have traded. I probably. Yeah,
it's tough.
It's
Durant's
hard,
gonna be 35,
right? Because
man.
without feeling, right? Again, remove my any feeling from it and just look at it. It's a smarter. I think there's a better chance of winning a championship if you go the other way and you trade Dame. But that's not what you're doing. You're trying your best to try to give Dame a chance, so I would do it. Based on what? But we don't have ownership. That's the thing. It's like, what's my job? What's my job? What is ownership, which I don't know who that is. I don't know if that's Burt Cole. I don't know if it's, Jody Allen. I don't know who it is. But if the goal is to win a championship before you sell the team, then I get Kevin Durant because I don't care what happens in 3 years because I won't own the team probably. There's a good chance it's gone. And if I'm working for Dame, to get Dame a championship, then I'm trading for Kevin Durant. I'm trading one guy, Simons, who I don't feel bad about trading. Sorry. And the other guy, I'll take the risk because I know what I'm getting. I know what I'm getting with Kevin Durant if he's healthy.
Now let me ask you this: we talked a little bit about Ayton earlier this week, but given what's happened now, it seems almost obvious that he's going to be available. They need a point guard. To me, depending on what else is out there, and for Ayton, straight up, is a fair trade.
Straight. I wouldn't. Come on.
It's a fair trade.
Well, I wouldn't do it. I probably wouldn't do it if I were them.
You really wouldn't?
If I were the Blazers, unless I don't know. Ayton's he's 7 feet tall.
But they don't like him. He doesn't fit. There's too many issues going on. So and they need a point guard now because they're not going to bring back Paul reportedly. And
Simon's in a first round draft pick. I do it. You got to give me a first rounder too.
If you're Phoenix.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's hard. It's not hard to find guards who can score. It's hard to find 7-footers who are borderline all-stars.
Okay. So the Knicks pick.
But if I'm the Blazers, I do.
So
I
the
would
Knicks
do that.
pick.
I would
The Knicks
do that.
pick an Ant for Ayton.
Yeah.
If you're the Blazers, would you do that?
I wouldn't even. Oh my God! I wouldn't even like that. You would have to like hold me back from just. Do you want me to drive and pick him up? Do you want me to pick him up? You want me to pick him up? Like I'm like, how does this work, dude? Like once you say yes, it's done, right? It's done, right? Like you were like a kid, like
no takesy backsies. So would you be at the airport?
You want Mattingly for Puckett? It's over. It's over. You said yes.
You can't take it back. Would you throw in, or would you send Blaze and Bigfoot to the airport to greet him?
Of course. I mean, he's a 7-footer. I mean, Nurkic is gone, right? Like with that, that's the other thing. So, maybe they want Nurkic back, and that'd be great. But yeah, I mean, look,
so how about that?
If you
how about that though? And
yes,
Nurkic.
Absolutely.
Ant Nurkic
100%.
for CP3 Ayton, and then you release CP3.
Sure. Whatever gets me Ayton and gets rid of Nurkic and Simons. Absolutely, I don't want to get rid of Simons.
Take that back. You better watch yourself.
I know. I'm just saying. If we've learned nothing,
You're like, I know. I'm just saying.
Nothing in living in Portland and follow this Blazers team is you can find guys between 6 feet tall and 6'4"
who can play hoops
that can play really good basketball.
Yeah, I think,
and you can't finding 7-footers that can ball has not been good, not been easy for the Blazers. Joe, I love Joe Priscilla, but he wasn't. Ayton's a lot better.
I honestly, like, if Phoenix is serious about this and they're truly done with Ayton, I honestly think that that's like the perfect match, because if they're going to move on from Paul, they need a point guard, and and to me, Ant, Booker, and Durant. That's really good. That's a really good trio. And the ability of Ant and Booker to push the ball that they will have will be pretty scary. Now, granted, CP3 is smart, has intellect as a point guard. Ant doesn't have that, but Ant's way more athletic. CP3 is still a good defender, but he's going to be 38. Like, I think that would actually be a really good fit for both teams. I would hate to see Ant go, but I also want to see Ant get the lead guard spot somewhere else. All right. Speaking of the Suns.
God. It'd be so easy to make that trade.
I know.
Like me and you. We'd be like, done.
We don't even think about it anymore. So the Suns lost to Denver. We just talked about how good Denver is, and CP3 was hurt. Durant didn't have a great series. But, of course, because it's the NBA, Monty Williams is allegedly in danger of being fired. And this is all speculation right now and blah, blah, blah. Who knows what's really going to happen. I hate the NBA when it comes to how they treat coaches. I hate the idea that every time you lose, it's the coach's fault. We got to change it up, blah, blah, blah. Win a championship, fail for 2 years, you're out. Coach of the year, fail, you're out. It's just dumb to me. Monty Williams is clearly a really good coach. Earlier this week, you said you would absolutely make a call to Budenholzer about maybe joining the staff, which I thought would be ridiculous, because if you did that, you basically might as well tell Chauncey goodbye, because Chauncey would probably be pissed and not want to be here anymore. But would you make that same call to Monty?
Yeah.
And Monty and Chauncey are good friends, so Monty would tell Chauncey. Monty probably wouldn't even take the job. Yeah, I would. Chauncey. But anyway, let's just strip all of that. Let's strip all of that. Let's just say, would you?
Yes, I always want to try to get better. I do not know if Chauncey Billups is a good NBA head coach. I know that Mike Budenholzer is, and I know that.
But but one just got fired and one might be. So how good are they? They're basically
one's got a title and never not made the playoffs.
But they're basically being blamed in place of the players. So if it's on the
sure,
but we all know it's okay. So if we all know it's all about the players, and how are we going to say these guys were great coaches when they succeeded? Wasn't it just about the players? Because now they're being fired when there's failure. They're being blamed. They're being saying, "Oh, well, it's not the players' fault; it's your fault." So then they weren't that great to begin with, because you can't give them credit for the winning.
I don't know what the formula is for who's does what. Like, I'm not going to sit here and come on here and tell you I know that. Here's what I do know. There's a formula. You need great players to win championships. But the Bucks had one great player and won a championship. They had good players as well, but he won a championship. And winning an NBA championship, you have to get through a lot of things. It's not just talent every time. Mm-hmm. And you got to manage egos. You have to manage injuries. So winning a title says something to me. It's no guarantee. And, Monty Williams, he's coached under the best. He hasn't won one himself. Obviously, the Blazers know him. Well, probably nobody left knows him. But he was here for a long time. So there's got to be somebody left in the organization that knows him, knows what kind of person he is. So I would check it out. My whole goal, if I'm a GM and or an owner, is I want to get better than everything I do. And I would check it out. And I think worrying about hurting Chauncey Billups' ego is it's not a huge concern for me. I mean, yeah, whatever, man. We gave you a head coaching job when you had been an assistant for 1 year. And we've been awful 2 years in a row. It's not your fault, because we've given up twice. But I have no idea if you're good. And we're going to pay you. So you're all right, because you'll be fine.
Well,
but I would try to get better. And then if you're Chauncey and you're competitive and they don't get Monty, you want to prove them that go prove me wrong and quit. Win a title and quit. Like, do it. That's fine. I'll be okay with that. So The only people I worry about is I don't worry about hurting coaches' feelings for the same reason that when you're in management and positions, like that's it. You get paid for that. Players you have to worry about because Dame Lillard, you want him to be happy, and there's a legacy there. But I mean, Chauncey Billups hasn't built anything that's legacy-like. And be honest with him. Tell him, like, hey, we're going to check it out. I'm not saying we're going to do anything about it, but if we might check it out.
Here's my feelings on this again. Monty Williams with New Orleans had a 21-45 season, a 27-55 season, 34-48. He did have a 45 and 37. Wait. Yeah, that's head coach. He was under 500 in 5 years. Okay. So with Phoenix, they were also under 500, 34-39, and then they get Chris Paul and Marty Booker. He played for the Bears, wide receiver. And then Booker takes another step, and all of a sudden, they're winning games. So again, it comes down to the dudes on the court. You can't sit here and tell me, I know he's a good coach. Well, why did he go 21-45 and 27-55 and 34-48 if he's so damn good? I'll tell you right now. You take Chauncey and you stick Chauncey in Phoenix when they got Chris Paul and Booker and Ayton, and then that is Durant. That's late in the game. They're winning games. They're winning series. They're contending. You take Monty Williams. You bring him here the last 2 years. They had the exact same damn record, and you would be saying, "Well, I call Chauncey Billups right now." Chauncey Billups have been coaching in Milwaukee with those cats. With Middleton, Giannis, and Holiday, they're contending. And then you'd be saying, I'd forget Budenholzer. I'd call Chauncey right now because he's I just think it's just in the clincher for me. The clincher is that as soon as those teams don't meet expectations, they're firing the coach. The one who got you to the finals, the one who had you with the number one seed last year, the one who won you a championship, they're out. But you're insisting that they're so much better than Chauncey because they won with far better teams. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, the Brooklyn Nets would tend to differ on whether or not it doesn't matter who's coaching.
The Brooklyn Nets went. Whoa. They won.
They suck.
No. They probably win the title if Kyrie doesn't get injured. They were up 2-0 on the Bucks. Wasn't Nash coaching that team? Was Nash coaching that team? Okay, so they were playing the Bucks. They were up 2-0. Kyrie gets hurt. Then the next year, Kyrie refuses.
So you don't think coaching matters at all?
I would say, just listen. Kyrie refuses to take the vaccine. They end up playing in the AC. They get rolled. And then this year, obviously, started out poorly. Now, clearly, this year there's some problems. Clearly, they got rid of him.
That's what I'm talking about.
Got rid of him. So I'm not saying there weren't any problems there. I'm just saying that, that they were having success until injuries and the vaccination got in the way and they had to give up Harden. So that wasn't all on Nash.
No, of course it wasn't. That's what I'm saying. There's a formula, though. Are you saying coaching doesn't matter at all?
I'm not saying. Here's what I'm saying.
So that's all I'm saying. Try to get better.
It's not whether it matters at all. I just don't believe that there's any the only evidence we have about Budenholzer and Monty is that they have more experience and they've been in a position to have success. Chauncey has not been in a position to have success.
Sure, but Budenholzer, you can't. Monty and Budenholzer are different. Monty, you supposedly know, and that you might have feelings toward it. Budenholzer won a title. There's something there.
And they fired him.
It's hard. It's hard. Not the year they won the title. But they're firing him
now, which means they're saying that he wasn't that important.
Yes. It's not the same team, though.
The top three.
Every year is different.
The top four players are the same four players.
But things change. Things change. That's why it happens. I mean, I'm just saying. You can't tell me winning a title as a coach, you've done nothing. I mean, I get you, Ty Lue. Like, I don't know if he's a great coach. He won a title. Look, Mike Brown is a good coach. And people gave him crap for not being a good coach, right? Because he had Kevin Durant. But now he's a genius again.
Yeah, LeBron.
So, right? I meant LeBron. Sorry. Who did I say?
You said Kevin Durant.
I don't know.
Durant. Okay, so here's my take on this. I'm just saying,
coaching matters.
I do think it matters. Okay, how do I explain this? So let's put it this way. Name me a coach who's taken an average basketball team and made them a championship contender. I can name you football teams in the NFL who've done that. Name me a NBA team that had just good talent, not great, that a coach...
Eric Spoelstra.
Which championship? We had Wade and Shaq? Next.
No, I'm just saying, like, right now, you say contender. You say contender.
Win the title. You said championship. Win the title. I mean, true championship.
Oh, win it. You say contender.
Okay.
NBA
Miami had the 8th seed, and they have 2 All-Stars. So they have pretty good. And they were in the East Finals. Like, they have some pretty good talent. They may be underachieved during the regular season. They're obviously doing well in the playoffs. But
teams don't make the titles.
You have 2 All-Stars, Butler and Bam. So, I don't really consider that a team that doesn't have talent.
I mean, if you go back, of course, you're not going to find any.
So it
look,
starts.
The Knicks have 2. The Knicks have 2 All-Stars,
technically. Right? We agree with that. So once you get into once you get deep into the playoffs, every team has a lot of talent. So that's where the coaching matters, right? You can manipulate, you can dictate some certain things and create some certain environments or strategies or whatever that can give your team an edge over the other team. Like completely.
No NBA team's winning without an All-Star.
But
no NBA team's going to win a championship without an All-Star. And odds are you're not going to win without 2 because when you're good, you get on the All-Star team. I mean, that's the thing. If the Knicks were really good this year, Jalen Brunson makes the All-Star team. Julius Randle made the All-Star team. Brunson's the better player and had the better year. So the All-Star team is a mess. But, I mean, Rick Carlisle, the Mavs were really, really good. But, Dirk Nowitzki was their only true star. But they're not going to win without a star.
But he was the only true current, quote-unquote superstar. But they had 5 other players on that roster who had been All-Stars. And they were veterans.
Good team. You can't win a title without bad players.
Okay, Kidd was still at a high end, and they had Terry and the Matrix. Stojakovic didn't play that much. There was one other dude they had who played a lot. So they had a lot of very smart – Tyson Chandler. They had a lot of very smart veteran talent who could play defense and that had all-star pedigree, and then you had the one elite guy, and then they played a dysfunctional Miami team because LeBron wasn't ready. But anyway – the point here,
the Bucks only have one true. The Bucks only had one true All-Star.
Middleton was an All-Star. Middleton was an All-Star.
Yes, but he's not really an All-Star.
Okay, if he's in the All-Star game, he's an All-Star. So you have a
and that's what I'm saying.
Generational talent, an All-Star, and then Drew Holiday as well. So that's a formidable top 3.
Yes, good players.
2. So at the end of the day, that's what comes first. That's all I'm saying. Look at Boston. Who's this? I don't even remember a dude's name. Who's the Boston coach right now? Mazzulla?
I don't know. Joe.
Huh?
Joe
Mazzulla.
Joe. His name's Joe. We call him Joe.
Joe Mazzulla. Who's this guy? Is he some genius that we didn't know about until he made Udoka?
I don't know who.
He made Udoka, got a little frisky with the wrong people and cost himself a job. And now all of a sudden, Joe Mazzulla is just this hidden gem they had down there with zero.
He might be the next
head coaching experience, and he went 57-25. Why? Because he's a genius? No, because he inherited a team that went to the NBA Finals and has 2 major stars on it in Tatum and Brown. If Mazzulla's first coaching job was Orlando, he'd be 20-62, and in 2 years he'd be fired. And people would say, "We don't know that guy. He's not a good coach." Yeah, it's come on.
So right now he's done nothing because he's not even out of the second round. And they were gone. I mean, last night, what an amazing comeback, and maybe they advance. But if they lose to the Sixers, then he did a horrible job. Because that team is a finals team. And if you don't make the finals with that talent, there's something wrong. And he might not, he's lucky he got the job already.
I'm just saying.
It's harsh. Being a coach is hard. I'm just saying, I don't know how much it matters, but it matters.
So let me ask you this. If Billups had inherited that team, are they not winning?
I have no idea, dude. I have no idea if Phillips is a good coach or not. And you've said you don't know either.
I said he hasn't proven it. I believe he is. I don't think he's proven necessarily, but I don't believe for a second that given his background as a player and who he played for and the fact that he was a point guard, that he isn't on par with all these guys people are jocking because they won with major talent. When he's like some of these people who are like trashing him. It's like, how are you trashing this guy when he legitimately has coached 2 teams that tanked?
I am not.
I know you're not.
And in no way.
I'm just saying the whole thing is just hilarious.
I'm just saying, I don't know.
Coaching. Some fool the other day, not fool. I'm not going to say his name, but he sometimes is a little arrogant for me, was saying how Missoula wasn't ready for this moment. That's why they lost game 5. Then they turn around and win game 6 on the road. Was he ready for that moment? Everyone's a coaching critic, even though they never stepped foot on a basketball court, never played or coached anything. But because it's part of our society, if you're not pissing on the coach, what are you doing? Yep. Right?
So let me. I have always said, as close as I am to sports, I do not know how to predict who's going to be a great coach and who's not. I always say, when the Yankees hired Joe Torre, a guy that was a bum for multiple teams, was older, and they didn't hire Don Mattingly, I was fuming. Joe did okay.
Right.
I thought Derek Fisher, he won. I'm just saying, he won 5 World Series for me. I think I'm happy. He got, good talent, but baseball's hard to win. I thought Derek Fisher was a great hire. Everyone said he was a coach on the floor. He'd won championships. I thought Derek Fisher would be just fine. That was not just fine.
Did he have talent?
So
Did he have talent?
I don't know. Yes, we did suck. Yes, we've had better. No, he didn't, but no one else has hired him. So there's something going on that other, he got hired by a WNBA team and got fired. So he didn't become a great coach. And when I had no idea Steve Kerr was good. You're right. He's got talent. I have no idea. I know that Steve Kerr is able to manage Draymond Green, and I don't think everyone could do that to win titles. I don't. And he's figured out ways to make guys great. And some of them were great already, but he figures out Wiggins to make him fit perfect. GP2. I mean, there's something to coaching. That's all I'm saying. And I'm not bashing.
Right, I know you're not.
And there's a chance Chauncey could turn out to be a better coach than Monty Williams and Budenholzer. But the only way you get to be a better coach, the way you get ranked is by winning. And unfortunately for him, he's got crap too. Terry Stotts was a terrible coach if you looked at his record before he got to the Blazers. I was like, what? Yeah. Really? I hear good things, but come on. And I think he was as good a coach for those teams as you could have had.
He did a great job. No, I heard. So essentially, I hear what you're saying. And, if they put together a championship caliber team, right, I think Billups would have success with it. But what you're saying is that you've seen 2 other guys who are good. One might be available, one is available, who've already done it with good teams. Therefore, if push comes to shove, I'd rather have the guy who's done it than the guy who hasn't done it, regardless whether that's fair or not.
I'd like to investigate. Right. Investigate.
Right. Okay.
Ask those questions. Did he win a championship because he had Giannis and it was perfect, or everything was perfect, everything fell into place? Or when you talk to people that know him, is he a really good coach? It's not hard to find these things out.
Isn't that crazy though? I mean, how does did Giannis say, I don't want him as my coach anymore? Because if Giannis said, what are you doing? No, it's not his fault. Then he doesn't get fired.
Then you don't fire him.
There's no way you fire him. So it's almost like Giannis might have been partly behind this.
But the thing is, Giannis is what, 27 now? I don't even know. I mean, I'm just saying, he's had one coach, really. Yeah. Sometimes they want to play for someone else.
I guess.
I think that's what Dame wanted.
I know, but if you win a championship with a guy, to me, if you win a championship with a guy, I got to have
you only get one career.
I got to have several years of failure before I throw that guy under the bus.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
You are not you're not Giannis. You have elite typing talent, but you don't have elite athletic talent. You are a grown man. You're a above 40-year-old man, right? That
I'm old enough to be all these guys' daddies. Right.
And your window is not Giannis knows, that's it. So, maybe they took it as far as they could. You've been in jobs where you decided, you know what? I've done everything I can here. I like it, but I'm going to try something else in a challenge. And maybe Giannis is like, I've heard this voice over and over again. It's a good voice. And now I want something different because I only have 4 more years to win a title, and I want 2, 3, or 4. I mean, I really think that's what happened with Dame and Terry. I think they got along great. Terry did great things for him, but he was like, look, man, you're the only voice I've had. And I want to win a title, and maybe it's time for a new voice. It doesn't necessarily mean you're bashing a dude or think a coach is terrible. It just means you might have and he put out a thank you and all that. So sometimes a parting of ways, sometimes things are mutual, right? Some people break up and and don't hate each other. Yeah. We're passionate people. We don't get there. There.
You're right. No, you're right. And clearly it happens. I mean, the thing is, I have to accept the fact that it happens all the time. So there must be reasons behind it. It just always seems bizarre to me. Anyway, all right. We went over your time today. I know you got to get running. But that was a great discussion as always. Thanks for listening to the Blazer Focus podcast. We will be back the night of the lottery. That's our plan. Please click the subscribe button, leave us a positive rating, and we will get back at you after the Blazers get the number 1 pick.